Michael Bruns, Brian Christopherson with a pre-spring Husker247 3-minute drill. First go-around with 3 new Nebraska assistants. We heard from Phil Snow, Daikiel Shorts, and Phil Simpson today, the 2 Phils and Daikiel. Kind of the interesting one in my mind today, Brian, was Phil Snow. This is a guy that's very towards the center of the Matt Rule orbit. He's going to have his fingers kind of all over this team, and especially on the defense. What did you kind of take away from what he said?
Yeah, it'll be John Butler calling the defense, but Phil Snow's opinion is obviously going to matter a whole lot. He's going to walk around during practices and take turns throughout the spring, I think, with each position group and sort of get a lay of the land about what's going on there. And I just think we've seen, and you've listened to Matt Rule through his interviews, he just values Snow's opinion incredibly. I mean, they go back like 2 decades plus. I mean, Phil Snow was in on the special teams coordinator hire with Mike Eckler doing interviews. And so it makes sense that he's going to be trusted to, like, what are you seeing out there? What's going on with the defensive line on this day? Or what's going on with the linebackers here? And always sort of, I think, a gauge for Matt Rule that he's going to rest on, and it makes a lot of sense. And then also, he's got a lot of expertise on specifics like third down, for example, which came up.
Yeah, 2 big areas of emphasis for this defense, and the task that John Butler has, or how do you get better on third downs, and how do you get better in the red zone? I mean, I think, for as good as Nebraska's defenses have been the last couple of years, and top 20 in a number of categories, there's been frustration about the defense's inability to get off the field on third down and shorten drives and get the ball back to the offense. That's going to be a big point of emphasis for Butler's defense. He mentioned that in bowl practices too, that was one area that he was hoping to really improve on. So that's going to be one area, or 2 areas, I guess, that they're really going to be kind of harping on in spring ball and going through the summer. We heard from Daikiel Shorts. He's kind of an interesting guy, a long history with Dana Holgorsen as a wide receivers coach. He played for him, kind of overtaking an interesting rebuild of Nebraska's wide receiver room. What did you kind of take away from his time?
Yeah, it's a rebuild, and yet he has familiarity with Dane Key and Hartley Gilmore, who played for him at Kentucky. And Hartley Gilmore, as a quick aside, was only 16 years old when he showed up to Kentucky, and he's just turned 18. So still a very young guy, but with a lot of talent. And so I think those 2 are going to help him out, the fact that they know what to expect. And they can kind of share that with the room. I think Dane Key, as a veteran of college football, is probably going to be really instrumental for Shorts in sort of setting the tone for how things are supposed to look. But you're right, he does have a really interesting room because there's those 2 guys, and then Isaiah Hunter is a big body that I think he's really excited about his potential. Ja'Cory Barney is a guy that obviously Husker fans were pretty amped up about, that he gets to try to take the next step. So that's going to be a good competition, I think, to first off, who's that top 3 or 4, but then beyond that, like the top 6 or 7, I think it's going to have to be elbows out as they're trying to impress their new coach, Daikiel Shorts, who obviously knows what Dana Holgorsen wants more than anybody on staff through playing for him and coaching with him.
So Nebraska's players right now are kind of in the midst of mat drills. Nebraska's set to begin spring practices on March 24th. We'll get another 3 more new assistant coaches next week to kind of get the lay of the land there. So keep it locked on Husker247 for all the latest.